I've been asked this question quite a few times. Hey Clem, are you an Apple fan? And I think me owning this sums it up quite the best. The HomePod was quite the first signal of Apple venturing into the consumer audio market. Well, yes, the AirPods were released before the HomePod, but most of us just assumed that the AirPods were a byproduct of Apple removing the headphone jack from the iPhone and the iPad. But then when the HomePod was released, we realized how serious Apple was about the consumer audio market because of how expensive the HomePod was. I wanted to get my hands on the HomePod as soon as possible when it was released, but the money. It was £319 when it was first released, so I could only get my hands on this second-hand. And now that the HomePod was officially discontinued by Apple, I think it is opportune for us to review what the HomePod was all about, why it failed to gain traction, and what's next for the HomePod. Now, I think the best way to put it is that the HomePod was a weird product sandwiched between two categories. On one end, you've got Amazon and Google, speakers geared towards providing an intelligent assistant around the house, either Alexa or Google Assistant. On the other hand, you've got something like Sonos, speakers geared towards the listening experience with multi-room audio and with superior audio quality compared to the Amazon and Google counterparts. And what the HomePod was trying to do was to combine the two. A platform for superior listening and a gateway to a digital assistant. In simpler terms, the HomePod was quite like a product category of its own. It shouldn't be compared really with either the Google and Amazon side of things or the Sonos side of things. But this was not quite what happened. Apple has always been a consumer electronics company instead of a consumer audio company. So when the HomePod was released, it was instantly compared with Amazon Echo speakers and Google Home speakers, and this was where Apple just lost the competition. Siri simply doesn't have that many functions or skills compared to Alexa and Google Assistant, even with the help of Siri shortcuts. I mean, the Google Assistant on Google Home speakers is doing alright, but Alexa has so many skills that you can add to it. The usual, of course, like helping you turn on and off lights and appliances, like telling you the time or the weather or whatever, but it can also do fun stuff, I guess, like hosting a trivia game or a song guessing competition. It was the sheer abundance of features on the Alexa platform that gave consumers the impression that they won't be missing out on anything if they just bought an Amazon Echo speaker, and that was where HomePod was losing the competition. But still, I'm not saying Alexa is this absolutely unbeatable digital assistant in the market. Alexa has been criticized for being able to only recognize commands in rigid grammatical structures, and it's been evaluated that Google Assistant and Siri are just better at natural language processing. Of course, the competition is heating up, so this comparison can change in the near future. But now, when you think about language support, this is where the competition completely flipped. This is actually quite interesting. Now, as of March 2020, Google Assistant on Google Home speakers is only available in 13 languages with various English, French, Spanish, and German dialects. And I think there were even fewer languages for Alexa, only 8, with various English, French, and Spanish dialects. And for Siri, there were 21 languages with various dialects in Chinese, Dutch, English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. And there you can see how these digital assistants compare. Amazon is hyper-focused on Alexa in a few markets, providing an almost overwhelming amount of skills and functions for the customers. On the other end, Apple is focused on bringing Siri to a wider range of customers around the world, but I guess it was proven inherently more difficult to bring the same set of skills and functions to such a wide and diverse audience. And Google this time is the one sandwiched in the middle, with Google Assistant having a balance, or I guess taking the sweet spot between functionality and language availability. And this is where we realize it's so hard for us to crown a winner amongst these three mainstream competitors in the digital assistant market. I think the most annoying thing about the discontinuation of the HomePod is that people have quite forgotten what sort of audio quality this speaker can provide. Something like spatial awareness, where the HomePod can analyze the acoustics of a room and it can separate the vocals, instruments and ambient sounds and diffuse them differently, with the objective of filling up the entire musical space. Maybe Sonos doing the same and they're not telling us, but assuming that's not the case, this sort of refinement was unheard of before, something even the newer HomePod minis are not capable of. But the customers have spoken. They probably just want an easy-to-use digital assistant in their homes and sometimes to listen to music, and that's probably why the HomePod mini is such a hit and the HomePod wasn't. The HomePod mini is not cheap, but it's still way cheaper at £99. If people are not super fussed about the audio quality, even with Apple's reduction of the price to £279, the HomePod still wouldn't be worth it. For now, you can still get a HomePod while stocks last. If you really want superior audio quality on a HomePod, maybe get hold of one sooner rather than later. But it's not the end of the road. The HomePod mini is newer and is still available. And if you want something comparable in the future, maybe get 2 HomePod minis and form a stereo pair that will actually work out cheaper at £198. To end, as the original HomePod is going into its demise, I think it's important for us to recognize what the HomePod actually was. HomePod was a high-end speaker with a digital assistant, but unfortunately it was compared to Google Home and Amazon Echo, which were digital assistants manifested in the form of speakers. To remedy that, the HomePod mini is the answer, a cheaper version of the HomePod with the most advanced audio features being stripped away, and the full-size HomePod, sadly, it has to retire. I do hope to see a second generation full-size HomePod, but what do you think? Do you think the full-size HomePod will ever make a return? Leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. And please subscribe to the channel, every little bit helps. For now, thank you so much for watching, stay safe out there, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Is it just me, or does anyone think that the system sounds of the HomePod are so lovely? Like, how satisfying is that? I can listen to that all day. Like, literally music to my ears, if you pardon the pun.